Happy hump day, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, back from his respite, his appearance on BetSports Golf, where I'm sure they picked the winner already. So go over there and watch. You're just going to see who's going to win the tournament. Which is it getting to be boring, Andy, to just sort of know what's going to happen? Just no drama, no surprise.
Kind of. This is how, I wonder if this is how it feels to be a god, like just knowing what's going to happen. Like the fun of life is not knowing what's next. But no, I didn't pick the winner last week. Noonan did. And he did point out, funnily enough, like clearly best number in the market, and almost to the point of where you would call it off market, was points bet with max home at 30 to 1. A lot of places did not
Yeah.
have a number that good. And they were first to market, and they got beat up pretty bad on that apparently. And this
Thanks for
week they were
trying.
last. Yeah, this week they were last to market. Yeah, like they came back, didn't open up outrights until everyone else had, and kind of beat the numbers into place. A little different tournament this week. We'll get to it later in the show. But yeah, if you want to check that out, we did some live talk. We talked a little bit about the schedule going forward, and then we talked about like 9 different outrights we were looking at. And man, I hate to use, you know what? The internet ruined the do your own research as a phrase. Like they really did, because that was actually a good phrase. And then just the crazies on the internet kind of ruined it for me. But you should always do your own research on sports betting and come to your own conclusions for that. Make your own bets. It's your money. We just kind of try to guide you in the right direction. Although I went long shots this week. I don't have anybody short. I'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, we'll just dive right
Talk about a
into
quitter.
news of the day. The biggest quitter in the league, and honestly, I mean
Two-time quitter now.
the stats and just the accolades and the Super Bowl wins. It's hard not to put him at the top of the podium. But after like the last 15 years of seeing like what Tony Dungy's really like, I kind of put Peyton Manning ahead of him as far as a quarterback. like, like I do, and I did make a joke in a DM group that his what is it? Last holiday slash bucket list slash whatever Wild Hogs with girls movie 80 for Brady comes out this weekend. So I made a joke, and I'm like, what if it comes out tomorrow that whatever NFL city has the highest box office numbers, that's where he'll go sign for a league minimum. Like, can you imagine like all the people that would rush out to watch this presumably horrible movie just to see if they could get Tom Brady to sign for like the Jets? I mean, the Jets would win. That's just such a big metropolitan area. I would think New York could get something done. They'd have to, I don't know, maybe they'd have to split the vote, Jets and Giants. Also, it'd be fun if a team just be like, no, we don't. We have Patrick Mahomes. Like somehow Kansas City wins that, and like, now you're 46 years old. Go away. So yeah, I don't know. It's just weird timing. It's weird that he retired on the exact same day that he retired last year. Although I will say, like, from just my
It's
heart of
very big on
hearts,
schedules.
it feels like this one's for real. But I've been fooled by quarterbacks before, Brett Favre. So I'll just hold my tongue until we actually see the first snaps of week one.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the best career quarterback, it's got to be him. But I think there's an argument to be made that, and again, as a closet Peyton Manning fan, I always loved him. I feel like peak Peyton Manning was better than peak Tom Brady. Like
Yeah,
the
I mean, it was
best
just,
game Peyton Manning ever could play, better than Tom's.
yeah, and there's no Brady cast to Manning cast.
That's
Although I
true.
do, oh man, I love that. They need to do one next year where they try, like I said, I hated this, but if they had a Colts Giants game, they need to put that on a Monday night so we can have a Manning cast for that.
Make
Because
it happen.
like
Make it happen, schedule makers.
Eli was unbearable when they had one with the Giants game. But I could deal with it if it was like Colts Giants and they were both equally unbearable against each other. But I digress. Congratulations, Tom Terrific, as you ride off into the sunset.
7 freaking Super Bowls.
And we will,
I
yeah,
kind of
we'll
forgot that he had
just,
7.
that's
It's a
more. And
lot.
somebody pointed that out on Twitter. That is, there are no franchises that have that many outside of obviously the Well, the Patriots, one of them was a Buck, so he has more Super Bowls than any franchise in the NFL, which is kind of buck wild. So good job, Tom. Have fun seeing your family. Maybe the jokes were
Or
wrong and
whatever
you
you're gonna
actually
do.
do like that, and you'll enjoy some of your time. Time off is gonna be good. Go figure out that golf game. Get into the booth. I think he's already got a
Yeah, he needs to
really
do better in the
lucrative deal.
match.
Yeah, he gets a really lucrative deal with Fox, so he'll be fine. We're not worried about him. I am worried
Yeah.
about Potapova out in Lyon and what's going on in that match. We're going to start with sometimes what we end with. We're going to start with tennis, mostly because I don't know what time it is. Like these are matches in France. So right now in France, it's like 4 p.m. These start soonish, or are these tomorrow things?
These are tomorrow. We're kind of in that phase of the year, Andy, where all the matches are kind of have happened or just starting right now. So last two matches in Lyon today are going to be Osorio versus Niemeyer. I've seen some sharp guys on Niemeyer using her in parlays. I actually kind of leaned towards the dog, but stayed away there. And then young Linda Noskova. What of the Lindas? I didn't realize how many good young women we have named Linda that play tennis. And they're all from the Czech Republic. It's very interesting. I don't know what's going on there. Again, Linda Noskova, huge favorite over Sharif. If you're just looking for some action, do a Noskova Niemeyer parlay. That should get you pretty close to even money, I would think. Let me see, actually. What does that give you? Ooh, right on the money. It's plus 100. So if you're looking for some action, you got to scratch the itch. That's good for the rest of the day. Nothing in wild win for me. Again, just four lines that are open here and all kind of big favorites playing against players I don't know. Our big underdog in Cali, Andy, we went for a 6-1 yesterday. She only won 2 games, and you have to win 12 games. So wasn't very close. At least I was right
At
about not
least you
taking the
didn't
spread.
bet the spread,
A handful of matches there. Again, nothing that really sticks out to me, but 2 looks I like in Leon. Again, it's an indoor hardcourt tournament. Generally, you see higher totals, longer matches, better hold rates, and for whatever reason, the market's been a little bit slow this week, I think, to react to that. I haven't seen as many 21 and a halves, as many 22s as I expected. But as I start to look at it, I think there is still more value in looking at some of these first set totals. So 2 first set overs here. And as Andy mentioned, we'll start with Potapova Burrell. This should be the later of the two. This match will hypothetically be at 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So you can get up, have some coffee, and see if we can get a 6-4, 7-5 out of, again, what should be a very competitive first set. Clara Burrell cashed the first set for us over in her first match, 7-5. And again, very short set in the second. It's really kind of that rhythm that I talk about that we're starting to see. So that anything better than standard juice looks good. It's plus 105 just about everywhere. And again, there's always some better numbers on this. As much as I like betting these, Andy, it's annoying to always have negative CLV because someone has this at like plus 125 somewhere. So check all your books. There is quite a range. And then Kovinic Bondar, this match is actually up just before the Potapova match. Should be around 6 o'clock in the morning or so Eastern time. We'll see. Again, it should be a very competitive match. Thought about taking Bondar as the dog here. Curious to see if she is capable of winning this match. But again, 2 women that fit exactly the profile we're looking for. Generally some very long sets. A lot of 6-4s, 7-5s for both here. So happy to take the over 9.5 here. Again, had this closer to minus 120. So plus anything there looks good. So 2 first set overs, and those will be early tomorrow morning. You can have it with your coffee if you will.
Yeah.
If you drink coffee. I don't drink coffee.
Not only did I have a coffee today in my beautiful 3M Open Yeti, I had a cold brew. I had both kinds, hot and cold. I'm like Katy Perry. I'm hot and I'm cold.
You like
I don't know
lukewarm
the rest
water.
of it, so I do like both styles. Real quick, one Choops bet, Chahoops. This is I don't know, like
We're betting on a
maybe
bad
an
team. This is Andy,
overreaction.
baby.
You know what? I don't know that they're so bad. I think maybe a bit of an overreaction to losing a player. Like that doesn't help.
You
Star.
generally don't think there's players that matter in college basketball,
I
like
know. I
maybe
think
1 or
this
2
one.
guys every year.
Yeah, I think this one. I think there are some players that do. Like you get down in like the Ivy League and shit. Man, I don't know that there's that many players that matter when we see players step in. So this is, they did lose a star. They lost their center, Jake Stevens, I think the name is. I think he busted up
Sounds
his
like a
hand.
wrestler.
Yeah, Jake the Snake Stevens, I'm going to call him. Busted up his hand. Big part of their front court. it is going to make this team worse. But I do think we've seen a little bit of a overreaction because they come out, they get the shit kicked out of them by East Tennessee State, lost a bad one at Wofford. I mean, Wofford's not horrible, but they lost at Wofford at home. I think whenever you lose a key part of I can't imagine how many minutes this guy was getting. I could check, I suppose. A lot, 73% of the minutes he was playing. He was very good, but you see this in the NBA all the time, Noops. When you see a star player go out, it's not just like, oh, we lost his scoring or we lost his defense. It's like we need to figure out what our lineup looks like, what our lineup looks like late in the first quarter, what our lineup looks like heading into half, what our lineup looks like if the power forward is in foul trouble. Like you have to make a lot of adjustments. And sometimes that does take a few games to kind of figure out what's our lineup flow throughout the game now without this player, especially when it's a player who's playing 75% of the time. So I think it did take them a couple games. They were able to beat East Tennessee State, which is not to say much, but they did beat them pretty handily on the road. So good job to them. And then Furman's a great team. Furman is the best team in the SoCon. They're probably going to win the SoCon. It's basically, I think there's 2 or 3 teams like the Greensboro's defense versus Furman's offense. It's going to be a fun matchup. We'll see probably, hopefully, in the tournament come March. But Furman's very good. I just don't have them 11 points better, especially now that I've given them a couple, 2, 3 games to kind of adjust on this. So let's go Nuga. Let's go plus 11. SoCon basketball. No idea what time this game is.
I like it. It sounds great.
I never
exactly
do
what I
check
needed
like
here.
when if there's day basketball or not. If there is day basketball, I'll watch it because there's no golf yet today.
No,
Oh,
regular
nothing,
Thursday
nothing too
schedule.
early. This is later tonight. This will be 7 Eastern. Which what are you gonna
Let's
do?
have to.
So,
Maybe I'll just have to do something this afternoon. It's a shame. There'll be nothing on.
yeah, I got golf prep yet. I have one golf bet later in the show, but that's the only one I've bet so far. I have to come up with some more matchup bets. I'm gonna have to dig through like 6 other books, see what they have, and then I gotta come up with round 1 matchups yet. Have something for tomorrow as we still are on the West Coast, so some of the rounds will start a little later. I shouldn't say that. They're using 3 different courses. Everything's gonna start early. Never mind. Boo. Boo Pro-Ams. Boo Macklemore. That's what I say. So, on to the pros. The NBA hasn't had a crazy apology letter in a few days, so getting back to normal there. It's been a fine league. Everybody, all the good players last night had triple doubles. Joe Kicks, I looked at that. I'm like, God, what was the price on that? His price on triple doubles like plus 140. Like
When
that
was
was
the
a
last
good
time there
number.
was 3 of those? I
Yeah,
gotta look that up.
I think it just happens now. Did you see that chart? I
Apparently
can't
not.
remember who it was. I'll shoot it to you. It's somebody who took some money from a sports book to shill a little, to do some,
No.
sports book. And I don't know
Who
who am
would
I
ever?
to judge? We've done that. I'm a shill,
I'm
but
doing that right
like
now.
do it in a normal way. Like so, he made a chart, and let's say it's a dot plot using an x and a y axis. One axis was what time does the game start? So it was the games based on start time. And then the y axis was the total in the game at the time he made the chart. So they'd be higher or lower in the chart based on what the game. It was the worst chart I've ever seen in my entire life. That's what he used to decide. That's what he decided to use to, promote the sports book that night. But because it had the spreads and totals on it. It's the worst goddamn chart I've ever seen, and I've seen some bad ones. But so hopefully we get some better charts going forward. But that was my NBA experience yesterday. I laughed at that a little.
Not all data is knowledge. Not all charts are useful. And let's get into today. A couple rough beats last night. Lost our Pelicans Nuggets under by 1 point. That's always a lot of fun to lose by 1 point. Not that I've been thinking about that all morning, but yes, 1 point there. And the Knicks really never got off the ground against the Lakers. But 2 bets I do like today. Pretty big slate, 8 games. But again, as always, a lot of kind of undecided looks at this point. Sixers Magic should be another fun game. Magic went outright the other night. Curious to see how the Sixers do in the bounce back spot. Pretty much all the lines exactly the same there. Grizzlies, good solid favorites over the Trailblazers. Should be a good spot for them, but wait and see if Desmond Bain is going to play. Nets, Celtics. The Celtics have taken a little bit of money. I might have to bet the Nets at some point, as terrifying as that sounds. But again, we'll have to wait and see who's actually playing in that game. Your Timberwolves look like a little bit of value here against the Golden State Warriors, but gonna wait. I think we might have a shot at a 4. I might play Timberwolves +4 if we get there. So we'll see what happens there. Rockets, Thunder. Hard to trust the Thunder as road favorites. Hard to trust the Rockets doing anything. All I know is if you're up late enough watching that game, no matter what the line is, bet against the Rockets in the fourth quarter. Thunder fourth quarter minus anything. Go ahead and do that. The Rockets have just been putrid in those spots. And then Kings Spurs. Spurs have been kind of tough at home, but not going to back them against the Kings. I think we'll see the beam tonight. But 2 bets that I do have. The Utah Jazz host the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors will be without OG Anunoby tonight. And as important of a piece as he is, it's really not only just built on how talented he is, but the next guy up. This Raptors roster, incredibly thin. The talent in the 8, 9, 10 position really lacking. We're going to see a lot of Juancho Hernan-Gomez, more Chris Boucher than we want to see, probably some Thaddeus Young, and just not really guys that you want to be playing for significant minutes here, night in and night out. And the Jazz at home, when fully healthy, have been kind of a juggernaut this year. I had this closer to 5, almost 6 points myself, so happy to lay the 3 here with Utah at home. Again, everybody healthy. Lauri Markkanen playing some great basketball, and the Raptors mired in the middle of a bad road trip. Just everything really kind of adding up here. Really like this number at -3. And then Hawks Suns, I'm going to play under 230 here. I actually think the Hawks, with or without Trae Young, are kind of interesting underdogs, but the Phoenix Suns are always a great team at home, year in and year out. Monty Williams knows how to get that team set, kind of use that advantage, and really getting control over these games. And generally, they're very slow-paced games when they're at home without Devin Booker. And unders have been pretty good. Just going to continue to play that here. The market has started to catch up a little bit, but still seeing a little bit of an edge here on some of these Suns games. Had this one kind of in the mid-230s, so anything really 230 or higher, happy to bet the under here. Again, the pace should be fairly slow. Would prefer if Trae Young were out, but even if he's in, still have this number again, kind of at the 233, 232 and a half range. So again, anything 230 never mind. I'm getting all these numbers backwards. Had this closer started the mid 220s. So again, even with Trae Young in, we're looking at like 228 or so. So again, anything even 230 or higher, showing it even if Trae Young's in tonight. So we'll take an under and the Jazz here. Sorry, I got all discombobulated. And thank you, Dan, for fixing that. When I originally put it in the sheet, Andy, I put in under 203 and a half. And no, I'm not playing a 27-point alt.
That would be a filthy number. Someone's asking Magic to make the play-in tournament at 14-1 a look. Yeah, I think so. It's so. I mean, both ends, especially the West, though. Like, hey, the Timberwolves won a game. They moved from like 9th to 4th or whatever. Shit is just, it's so backed up in the middle of these races right now, and it is crazy. Like the Timberwolves were out of the playoffs, like when I went to the Pistons game a few weeks back, and now I think they're in like the 5 spot. So a lot of basketball to be played yet, a lot to be decided, and the teams that aren't going to tank at all, are going to be able to take advantage of that as the year goes on.
Yeah, the Magic here, I'm looking 3.5 games behind the Pacers and Bulls for kind of that 10 spot there. And the way they're playing basketball, I think they can definitely catch up. It's a pretty big gap. And the Pacers, once they get Halliburton back, should continue to play great basketball. But I don't mind that number at all. And yeah, your Timberwolves, they're at 8 now, but there's only half a game that splits number 5 between number 8 and only a game from number 5 to number 10. So really,
yeah, they were in 5 the other day. I guess somebody must have played a game and won and moved. But yeah, it's going to be tight between the bottom half of the West there. That'll be interesting. So yeah, I like that. And somebody asked me some golf. They said, I can't scroll up in here. What am I trying to do? Asked if Cam Percy would be a play. I think he said 370-1 at FanDuel. Yeah, I'd play that. Like, I love Cam Percy enough. I like him here. I'll have him in DFS lineups for sure. I didn't see any prices that good. I haven't gone to the legal books at all yet. Honestly, this entire year. I probably will be using the legal books a little more for the next tournament because of just the the chance to use them for Super Bowl props. So I'll be making several trips to Iowa, maybe even Illinois if I have to do some Super Bowl prop betting. And then I'll be in Phoenix for a little bit next week, and they have some legal books as well. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check out the golf for a little bit and go say hi to a couple people. Just a quick, and honestly, I might go full Jack Torrance if I don't get out of here. It is like -15 every day. I don't leave the house other than go to work. It's so awful. So I do need to get out of here for like 3 days. Speaking of beautiful places, beautiful Caramel by the Sea. I don't think I say it right. Carmel by the Sea. That whole area, the Monterey area. It's by the sea. Former the mayor, the former mayor's kid is playing in this. Scott Eastwood. And I have a little matchup I want to go over quick. If you want to see, I did play 7 outrights. 7. And yes, they're behind a paywall at betspertsgolf.com in our private member Discord, but I also just give them away on content. Like I talk about all 7 in our show I did with Noonan yesterday. If you want to check that out, they're all there, including the prices I got them at. A lot of them are still available. But a matchup I just bet this morning over at BetOnline, Matthew Neesmith over Seonghyun Kim. This is starting to turn into the Know Your Wongs from tennis is Know Your Kims, because there are like 3 or 4 now that'll end up playing in the same tournament. And since we have Si Woo and Seonghyun, S Kim no longer suffices. So a lot of places will abbreviate this SH Kim, but it is Seonghyun, and he's good. I don't mind him. I don't love his skill set for this tournament, especially how they're going to set this up. These are going to be easy setups, like we mentioned, for the amateurs, and guys with great second shots and good iron play are going to be able to take advantage. I have Neesmith, a much better tee to green player, a much better approach player, just a much better ball striker. And then when I look at some of the granular stuff I'm using, like good drives gained and maybe some of the proximity numbers from about 75 up to 150, it's just a much better golfer I'm showing. And this is one too where Chris has this at like -130, and I found a -115 elsewhere. That also makes me happy that a book that's taking like 10 grand on these has a worse number than what I'm able to bet into. A much more liquid market has thought higher of Mr. Neesmith than some of the less liquid offshore markets. So Matthew Neesmith over, I'm just going to say SH Kim, -115. I bet that this morning. And it was tough with some of the things I looked at with Kim. I don't have as much data over here on the tour for him, like, his putting long-term on this type of surface. Obviously, I don't have any course history for him here. I don't use course history a lot, but I don't mind it at places like this where we have less shots, strokes gained data to rely on. So I did do that. And Neesmith, in his limited time here, has played well as, at these 3 courses. So this is one I like quite a bit. This is probably my favorite bet of the weekend. Should do best bets. That's my best bet. A lot of places do best bets. That's my best bet.
Bomb.
Oh no, just like at the end of the show, best bet. And because it's the last thing, I'm just gonna. It's easy. Hey, that's my best bet.
That. It's already lined up.
It's already right there. That's the best bet of the day on Hump Day, Wednesday. Leg Show says Lakers look much better with Hachimura
and LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Those 2 help.
I would say it's probably more the latter 2, but I mean, Hachimura was great last night, 8 for 12 from the field, and it's amazing. I know this is a novel idea, but putting shooters around LeBron James.
I think people have been saying that for like 3 years now.
Well, it's part of the reason the Russell Westbrook trade was so hysterical. It's like, oh, you took 3 players that make a ton of sense and traded them for one person who makes no sense.
Yeah, big name though, because they got to sell tickets. They've always had problem getting people out to Lakers games.
It is tough to get people in Los Angeles.
Nobody wants to see LeBron anymore. It's old hat guys. So Hey, if you watch this on YouTube, do a thumbs up. If you didn't, what are you waiting for? Go subscribe to the channel. That would help me immensely get through this.
Leave a comment too.
Long cold.
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Leave a comment. Say you like my hat. That was a thing for a while. Like, subscribe, rate, review.
Maybe you like my hat.
And then Patrick says, don't forget to plug the deep dive. The deep dive is True is already losing his mind because he does way more media hits than I do. And what do you think every one of them this week is like? What do you think about the handicap in the Super Bowl, Drew Dinsick? So he's had to repeat himself a bunch already. He's sick of it. And he's already mentioned this to me. He cannot wait for tonight's episode because we're not going to talk about the Eagles. We're not going to talk about the Chiefs. We're not going to talk about the Kelsey brothers. We're not going to talk about Andy
Why
Reid. We're
not?
going to talk about the 30 teams that did not make it. We're going to try to keep each one to about 2 minutes. That's never happening. We're just going to talk about our just like almost like word association, just real quick takes on what
That's
we
fun.
think, what to think of the future of the team is for this year. And then also we'll do about 20 minutes on how the NFL rigs games. Yes. That has been a funny thing. So this is a long send off, and Dan, this is it. Now we can go. Goodbye, everyone.